Has MAPPA ruined Attack on Titan? Today, I want to talk about the new adaptation for the final season of Attack on Titan by MAPPA Studios. It's been a huge talking point lately in the community, and so today I want to go through my thoughts on whether MAPPA is really ruining Attack on Titan or not. And before we continue with this video, I do want to mention that whether you love the new season of Attack on Titan or whether you hate it, please do not go harassing MAPPA Studios and the workers there. This is any of the potential flaws that this season has had is probably not on the staff itself, but by people higher up who have been pushed out this adaptation a little too soon, if you do think there's any issues with the series. So just make sure you're civil to them, and if you do have any criticisms, those criticisms are not going to get through to the studio if you are harassing them. If you want things to change, if you don't like what's going on with this adaptation, then by all means do it in a very respectful way, and that is how you're probably going to get your voice heard. And right now I want to start talking about Attack on Titan and tell a little story about what happened and my experience when the second season of Attack on Titan came out. The first season was obviously the smash hit, insanely popular show that we all know it to be now, but I had never really heard of Attack on Titan until a friend of mine told me to watch the show. And so about a year after it had aired, I believe in around 2014, I decided to sit down and watch Attack on Titan, and I was obsessed with it right away. I had seen it multiple times. I've watched it in sub, I've watched it in dub, and I was just waiting for the second season to come out. And I went through like a phase, I mean, this was back in high school, but I would like look up Attack on Titan season 2 like every day and see, is there news about it? And for the longest time there wasn't, but we finally got that trailer with Hanji holding out Nick, and so my hype for the series came back. But then when I watched the second season of Attack on Titan weekly, I was super disappointed in it. I thought the production by Wit was horrific. I thought the fact that they didn't have the same director as season 1 was a huge mistake. The CGI when the Colossal Titan came in towards the middle or end there of the second season, I thought it was some of the worst animation I had ever seen, and to be honest, it still isn't very good. But I really did not enjoy the adaptation when I first watched Attack on Titan Season 2, because it didn't give me what I thought what I had gotten at the end of Season 1, and that's all I wanted out of it. But it's really funny because looking back on Season 2, I actually probably prefer almost all of the material in Season 2 to most of everything in Season 1, probably outside of the female Titan arc right at the end. And I think Season 2 is incredible, and I think Wit did an amazing job with it outside of the Colossal Titan and the kind of one action shot that I don't love from Season 2, where they're all like, looks like a video game style, where they're flying around Bertolt right when he transforms. I really enjoy Season 2, and I think Wit did an amazing job with it, and I think Wit has done a great job with Season 3 as well. And I think Wit did an overall really good job on the anime because I actually prefer it to the manga. I've been reading the manga for Attack on Titan for a while now. I'm caught up with everything going on right now, and I really enjoy the manga, but if I'm going to be honest, I think the anime is better than it. I think the action scenes are done so much more justice in the anime, and I think some of the pacing issues I actually have in the manga are fixed in the anime. And I love all the voice performance, the color direction, basically everything about the anime. I mean, it's one of my favorite shows ever. I think the anime has done better. So there is some pretty high expectations with this switch from Wit to MAPPA Studio with the Season 4 of the anime, because the Marley arc is one of my favorite arcs in all of Attack on Titan. And to be clear real quickly, there will be some minor spoilers throughout the rest of this video for the Marley arc, so the first 8 episodes of the final season of Attack on Titan. I'll probably drop minor spoilers, might throw up a few images of the animation, but I think what's really important to remember is that when the second season of Attack on Titan came out, I thought it was terrible. And then I looked back on it and I said, why was I way overreacting to the potential slight direction difference? Or I was way overreacting to, a little bit of CG, while the story itself was getting far more interesting than it had really hit at all in that first season. And so looking back on it years later, I can look that I was going a little crazy with the second season of Attack on Titan. I think a lot of the feelings that I had for the second season of Attack on Titan is being similar with this final season by MAPPA Studios. I think a lot of nitpicks and very small aspects that people might not enjoy have been blown up to proportions of this is terrible, and of course that is even a little overblown because often the most hateful and upset part of a community tends to be the loudest. But Attack on Titan, I think this new season just passed Full Metal Alchemist for the highest rated series on Mall. So, there is that aspect to it. So obviously there's a lot of people who are enjoying this, but you saw it right when the new theme song came out. The new theme came out and everyone rioted. And this theme obviously isn't as good as the first probably 3 themes in Attack on Titan, but it clearly fits the vibe of where this show is going and the kind of shift from this bombastic, action-packed thrill ride that really the first 3 seasons had, even at times if it dipped down a little bit, to something far more nuanced, I think. And I think it's awesome. Yeah, some of the images are just okay, but I also think some of the imagery in the opening is striking and incredible, and it really hits the kind of anti-war vibe that Attack on Titan Season 4 is really all about, and that we've seen throughout the course of this Marley arc, even though you have, of course, the declaration of war. And I do think it is noted that with this time skip, not only is it the perfect time to switch studios, because a few years later, it's okay if the character designs are a little bit different, done by some different artists, but also it at the same time is kind of the worst time, because the time skip for Attack on Titan, I think, is really ambitious. I mean, you have the first handful of episodes where there is nobody that we really know outside of Reina. You see Reina and Zeke in that first episode, but you don't, it's not our main characters. We're in a completely different place, and it's like that for the first really 4 episodes, and you get a little bit of Eren, and then you have the declaration of war, and then the scouts start to come in, and it starts to feel like Attack on Titan a little bit again. And I think that aspect, when I was reading the manga, I was like, what the heck is going on right here? This is not that enjoyable. But then looking back on it, you can say, I really appreciate what Isayama did here to really take the story in a direction that otherwise wouldn't have been possible and is far more interesting, in my opinion. And so I think as the anime watchers or the people who really freaked out at MAPPA, I think that's part of it. That's part of the reason that it's been so easy to come so hard on MAPPA, is because it feels like a completely different show, because we have different characters basically through the first 5 episodes that we're focusing on. We've never met these people before. And now as it's starting to get it's especially this last episode or the episode beforehand, where we got Gabby trending, I think you started to see the tide shift a little bit, where people are like, oh, this is a really good adaptation. And now I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, a lot of people think the CG Titans look terrible and that they should look like, the Titans hand-drawn 2D animation that we saw for most of the first 3 seasons. And there's a couple of interesting kind of ideas here. First is Wit used CG, I think more than some people realize, in their first 3 seasons. And of course, the Colossal Titan looks horrendous in Season 2 and Season 3. I talked about it when, the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this? And it did not really change my enjoyment of them that much. Like, I think the end of the 3rd season is the best so far in Attack on Titan: Return to Shiganshina, and I still think Bertolt doesn't look that good when he's the Colossal Titan. It's still frustrating, but do I still think it's a 10 out of 10? Of course I do, because I think the animation is so good at other spots, especially with, Levi and him going to attack Zeke in that arc. But now you have basically all of the Titans except the Colossal Titan are CG, and I do kind of get the point. I mean, obviously, I'll be like right off the bat, I do wish that they weren't CG. I do wish that they were 2D, because I do think 2D looks better, because that's what I've watched my entire life. But I'm trying to be really open to the CG that is in this show, and I actually think a lot of it looks really good. Zeke in particular, in the first episode, I thought the Beast Titan looked almost identical to the Beast Titan in season 2 and season 3. I thought Zeke looked really good. Rhino looked really good for the vast majority of the episode, and all the other Titans in that first episode I think looked really good. The only times that I've struggled a little bit are, at times I actually think Aaron's Titan works really well CG, and at other times it's a little tough to watch. And that's about the extent of where I think this animation is bad. I actually think when Aaron is punching away at the Warhammer Titan, I actually think the entire production right there really hits on the brutality that Aaron has, and it's done through a huge CGI Titan, so I think that's done really well. Yeah, there's a few moments where it's not ideal. Would I prefer it to be 2D? Probably, but do I think it's the worst thing in the world? No. And do I really think it's taken down the Marley arc from being a 9.5, 10 out of 10? Absolutely not. I think Marley is one of the most interesting arcs in all of Attack on Titan. I think it presents some of the most interesting ideas, and I think the horror nature of it and the really terrifying, idea that this is all happening again, but this time the scouts are the perpetrators of all of this destruction is totally hit on perfectly. And I think some of the color design is actually a lot better through MAPPA than it potentially was at times with Wit Studio. Specifically, the declaration of war and Willie's speech, that his speech was so much better than I thought it was in the manga. The manga, it's good, I think, but here with the visuals and Willie's voiced performance, I thought it was stunning, and I think it captured kind of everything that Willie is about, and you had that perfect contrast with Aaron, Rhina, and Falco kind of beneath them, and I think that hit it well, even if the end of that episode, people, I think, really overreacted to the music that was played over it. I thought it was fine. But then you move on to the Colossal Titan when Armin's introduced. Obviously, I have another video on my channel. If you guys like Armin, make sure to check it out. Armin's my favorite character in this show, and I think MAPPA has done an extraordinary job with him so far. The Colossal Titan being drawn 2D was really awesome to see. The color design was incredible, and that also hit on the destruction. And when you go back, and I've talked about this in the past, for Armin, who is a character who really feels like he's lost his humanity after he kills a person in the 3rd season of the anime, to see him, a Titan, killing this many people, and the striking imagery that Wit provides was just spectacular. And then another, low-key, really great thing that Wit did was when he sees Aaron for the first time, and they just have that look to each other. Perfect, and it gave me chills up and down. And I also think Gabby is another character that has benefited a lot from Wit. I just think she's been given justice for how much everyone hates her right now, and kind of rightfully so. That's the point of her character, and I think MAPPA has done an amazing job at doing that and making sure that Gabby is kind of Aaron 2.0, and everyone hated Aaron in the first season of Attack on Titan. Now everyone loves sexy Aaron and hates Gabby, who's just like Aaron used to be. So that's pretty funny, and I think MAPPA's done a great job with those characters. And kind of the last point I want to talk about with the production, I think the soundtrack is as good as it has been throughout. I think the animation might be slightly worse in fight scenes. I would actually argue that MAPPA has done a little bit of a better job at getting the kind of bigger picture horror vibes, especially with the Colossal Titan, and I think with Aaron beating down the Warhammer Titan and the Jaw Titan. But Wit obviously handled the bombastic moments probably slightly better. I think the soundtrack's pretty even through both. It just feels on par with the amazing soundtracks that we've got earlier. But one of the biggest criticisms I've had for Wit Studio was the amount of still images that they would use in lower moments, and they would have people walking and they just wouldn't animate, and it would just be a still image and you would just pan. Even at times you would get, a shot of Aaron as a Titan and it would just pan around, and it was like, okay, this isn't as amazing as I kind of remember it was when I watched it. There are some lower moments, animation for wit, and I think some of the smaller moments are done incredibly well by MAPPA. And to be honest, I think if you sat down someone who potentially, has watched a little bit, who watches anime but isn't super involved in the community, and they watched, season 1 through season 4, I bet they wouldn't even notice that the animation is different, or they would just be like, oh, there's a little more CG. Makes sense because we've started to get more and more CG each season of Attack on Titan. And I think for everything that's going on, producing this in a pandemic, this animation, I think, is pretty flawless, and I'm going to be honest, I think I enjoy the Marley anime adaptation more than the manga, and that's been in line with everything that I've thought throughout the entire series. I've always enjoyed the anime more than the manga, and this is no different. So yes, there are a few things I think we can critique MAPPA on. I do think their CG, I actually think overall looks really well, but sometimes there's a little bit of lack of detail. That is something that could get upped a little bit. MAPPA is known for, kind of polishing their Blu-ray releases and making sure everything is even more top-notch there, and I think that is a potential that we'll see with the Titans and their rendering and maybe giving them a little bit more detail. But overall, I think they hit the horror and terror and everything that I wanted out of the Marley arc. I've been waiting for years to see these things be animated, and I think MAPPA's doing an amazing job. So what are your guys' thoughts, on this 4th season, the final season of Attack on Titan? I do hope, everything's going to change. My perception of MAPPA, obviously they haven't ruined Attack on Titan. They're making it better, I think, making it just as good as Wit did. The only way that I would ever probably turn on MAPPA, unless their overall production just falls off a cliff, is if they rush the end of the show. Hopefully they give it enough episodes to breathe, which I'm sure they will. This is a big enough title that it seems like if they just keep going on this pace, we're going to get an amazing adaptation, and Attack on Titan is going to solidify itself as one of the greatest, not only anime, but just pieces of entertainment ever. So yeah, I think MAPPA is killing it. I'm excited. I just keep, rewatching the episodes before they come out. So are you guys enjoying the season? Do you think MAPPA's doing a good job? Do you think the CG is kind of a deal breaker for you? Because I know a few people really just don't like it on Twitter. A lot of people on Twitter don't like it, but I think it actually has been a lot better than people give it credit for, and some of the best CG, for, a moving character that I've seen, and I think Attack on Titan's getting an amazing adaptation, and you can definitely expect some more Attack on Titan videos in the future. I'm actually working on one about if Eren actually died in the 5th episode of the anime, what would happen to the story, so look forward for that in the next few weeks. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you enjoy my work and you want to support me, kind of help me be able to make more videos, make them higher quality, my Patreon is linked down below. You can get all access to all the benefits there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, just me kind of rambling about the final season of Attack on Titan, and I hope to see you in the next one.